Hello, this is Bilal Siddiqui and you're watching Khuaab Library Project. So we were covering the introduction of Revelation. So this is the second part of that. The first revelation consisted of the two lines which began the Quran and the mission of the Prophet, after which he had no further experience or revelation for some while ago. There are pretty short pieces revealed in it. And between then and shortly before the Prophet's death in 630 at the age of 63 lunar years, the whole text of the Quran was revealed gradually, piece by piece, in varying lengths, giving new teaching or commenting on events or answering questions according to circumstances. This needs to be understood, that the whole text of Quran was received gradually, piece by piece, and in varying lengths. And this was sometimes new teaching, sometimes comments on events, or answering questions as the Prophet was supposed to face them. So Quran was a very dynamic thing which came as was the requirement, or as God or Allah thought it to be necessary for the people to know, or his prophet to know, or when his prophet needed guidance. So this is basically the type of revelation that we're talking about. Coming to the compilation of the Quran, with every new revelation of the Quran, the Prophet would recite the new editions of the Quran to those around him who would eagerly learn it and turn it to recite to others. So this needs to be understood that it was recited and it was not written at the first time, so it was written later on. Throughout his mission, the Prophet repeatedly recited the Quran to his followers as meticulous in ensuring the Quran was recorded even in the days of persecution. As each new piece was relieved, Gabriel instructed the Prophet as to where it should go in the final corpus. An inner circle of his followers wrote down verses of the Quran as they learned them from the Prophet, and there are records of there being a total of 29 scribes for this. So 29 people were appointed by the Prophet who actually had the duty of scribing or writing the Quran. At the end of the Prophet's life, the entire Quran was found in the form of uncollated pieces. In addition, most followers learned parts of it by heart, and many learned all of it from the Prophet over years spent in his company. They also learned from the Prophet the correct ordering of the Quranic material. So the ordering that we have was learned from the Prophet himself. Was taught. They belonged to the cultural background that had a long-standing tradition of memorizing literature, history, and genealogy. So this also needs to be understood that at that time of the Arabian Peninsula, there were people who were like extremely proficient in learning and cramming up different verses, and they used to be very eloquent people who actually took real pride in their poetic, you can say, skill. So this was easy for them to memorize these type of things. So they actually were like accustomed to learning long verses and long stories related to literature. The China Muslim account is that during the second year of the Prophet's death on the Battle of Yamama, the vast number of those who knew the Quran by heart had died. As it appeared that the gradual passing of such men, there was a danger of some Quranic material being lost. For the first five successors of the Prophet, Abu Bakr, others, the written copy of the whole body of Quranic material was arranged by the Prophet and memorized by the Muslims should be made and safely stored with him. After about 12 years later, with the expansion of the Islamic State of the third Caliph Usman, ordered that a number of copies should be made from this to be distributed to different parts of the Muslim world. This is the official copy of the Quran, which became known as the Usmani Codex, which we now have these days. This codex has been recognized throughout the Muslim world for the last 14 centuries as the authentic document of the Quran as revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. So that was all for that, and now we are going to move to the structure of the Quran. Surahs and ayahs as explained above. Quranic revelation came to the Prophet gradually, piece by piece, over the period of 23 years, and 39 maybe. I mentioned this before. Material is placed in different sections, not in chronological order. This needs to be understood of revelation according to how they were read by the prophets and believers. The Quran is divided into 1 verse 4 sections of varying lengths. The longest section 2 being around 22 pages in Arabic, and the shortest section 108 and 112 being one line in Arabic each. These sections are each known in Arabic as surah, which we discussed before, and we will use this word to refer to them. Each surah, with the exception of Surah 9, begins with in the name of God, Allah of mercy, the giver of mercy. This is the standard line which is recited before every single verse of every single surah of Quran. And a surah consists of a number of verses, each known in Arabic as an ayah or verse. And again, an ayah can run into several lines and consist of several sentences, so it can be a single word which normally ends in the Arabic with a rhyme. So even though Quran is not a book of poetry, but it does have rhyming words. So that's there. The dialogue of surahs requires some explanation. Many surahs combine several subjects within them. It will be explained below under stylistic features. So this is going to be coming up in also the part of introduction. The titles were allocated on the basis of either the main theme within the surah, an important event that occurs in the surah, and significant word that appears within it. The reader in respect Mecca and the Medinan surahs. The Quranic material revealed to the Prophet in Mecca is distinguished by scholars from the material that came after the migration to Medina. In the Meccan period, the Quran was concerned mainly with the basic belief in Islam. So the first period, which is the Meccan period, the Quran is mainly concerned with basic beliefs of Islam. They is regarded evident by signs, the prophethood of Muhammad and the resurrection of the final judgment, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him. And these themes are reiterated again and again for emphasis and reinforced Quranic teaching. These were especially pertinent to the Meccans. Most of them believed in more than one God. The Quran refers to this as shirk or polytheism, as also as a partnership. The sharing of several gods, the creation of government of the universe. The reader will note the frequent use of partnership and associate throughout the Quran. The Meccans also initially denied the truth of Prophet's message, and the Quran refers to earlier prophets, many of them also mentioned in the Bible, for instance Noah, Abraham, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, and Jesus, in order to reassure the Prophet and his followers that they will be saved, and warn their opponents that they will be punished. The Quran stresses that all these prophets preached the same message in the Quran was and to confirm the earlier messages. It states that Muslims should believe in all of them without making any distinction between them. So there is no distinction between any of the prophets. This has been said. The Meccans likewise could not conceive of the resurrection of the dead. In the Meccan surahs, the Quran gives arguments from embryology, from nature in general, to explain how resurrection can and will take place. The Quran seeks always to convince by reference to history to what happened to earlier generations by explanations from nature and through logic. So we'll continue in the next video from this piece, from this part. Thank you for watching.